You poor guys. Always confusing your pistols with your privates.
Don't hurt us, lady. Our take-home's less than 300.
You're overpaid. Hit the road.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and we've got some new DC information to talk about today. And with me to talk about this is my good friend Joelle Carter from Fantastic Comics. How you doing, Joelle?
I'm wonderful.
So it looks like we have a new creative team on Catwoman because we're coming up on the 80th anniversary issue. Joelle Jones is going to be moving off the title. Before we get to that new creative team, we got to talk about this 80th anniversary issue. Lots of variant covers, and one person in particular is going to be on those, and it's J. Scott Campbell, the man that can sell he can sell a female-led comic book #1 issue. He can put it up to like 130, 140,000 issues just by doing a bunch of variant covers on his own.
Yeah, J. Scott Campbell is the cover guy for sure. And I saw those covers. Whew, they are nice looking too. I personally thought the television Catwoman one was the one I liked the most.
That's the one from the recent Gotham series?
No, I didn't realize that that one was that way. No, I can't think of her name right now. The not Eartha Kitt Batwoman or Catwoman from Star Trek. But sorry, can't think right now. Early morning. But yeah, weren't some of these J. Scott Campbell's, they're exclusive to his, Julie Newmar, thank you. Aren't a lot of these J. Scott Campbell covers direct or specifically from his website?
Yes, so there's going to be one cover for every decade that she's been out. So there's going to be 8 different covers. He officially has the one from 1960. Other than that, Adam Hughes is doing the 1940. Travis Charest is 1950. Frank Cho, 1970. Stanley Artgerm is 1980s. Gabriele Dell'Otto, 1990s. Jim Lee, Scott Williams, 2000, and Jeehyung Lee, 2010s. So he's doing officially the 1960s, but he's doing a new cover for every decade, but they are exclusive to his own website.
Yeah, he's going to make a mint.
He's going to make a lot of money.
Now, when they're doing that, do the artists have to pay the company to be allowed to do that? Or do you know by any chance how that's working out?
I do not know specifically with that, but I know in the past that you can commission your own cover and sell with the interiors, but you do have to pay a fee. And I'm assuming that he's doing that, realizing that he's going to make a lot of money, similar to what other artists have done in the past. And so a lot of artists do it with Dynamite specifically, but
right.
J. Scott Campbell can probably do that with whoever.
Yeah, he could. And so those sales, do they affect the how we look at them when it's like Comic Con and stuff like that?
I would think they almost would have to, because it's still an issue being sold at wholesale than at resale prices. I
see. Wow. Well, good on J. Scott Campbell. Yeah, those covers are nice though. Sure.
Yeah, that dude he's amazing. He can if he is on the relaunch of like a female character in Marvel, whether it be Spider-Woman, obviously Black Cat was in a relaunch. I think that was her very first series, but just him doing like 2 or 3 covers. I think Gwen Stacy also had one recently. All of a sudden the sales are like 80,000, 120,000, 140,000 just because his pinup style covers just drive sales. Yeah. So collectible.
How do you feel about when you have a cover that doesn't match the inside? Are you okay with that type of thing? I know a lot of people that aren't as into it.
If it is the main cover, it pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a variant or an incentive cover that's completely different, because those are for marketing purposes and for different things. But I do appreciate when the main cover matches the interior art, and then the variants, that's a completely different story. But you don't really get that much in comic books these days. Unlike I think Hawkman, the main covers were all done by Brian Hitch, but you don't get to see that much.
I mean, it's not an uncommon thing. I mean, Neal Adams has been doing covers, forever, and guess what? He didn't do the inside. So this is nothing new. But again, there's a lot of people that get irked when they don't see the original illustrator working on the inside, or maybe possibly that the illustrator on the inside doesn't actually get the cover. I'm sure they don't like that.
Well,
they would
Marvel
appreciate
does it
getting
a
the
lot
cover.
to drive sales, because if they put the interior artists on a lot of the covers, nobody would consider reading them. They'd be like,
Right.
That cover sucks.
You know, going back to our wrestling thing like we've done before, Hulk Hogan, maybe, you know, he got the shine and everybody only knows him. But the thing that you would hear is that concession sales or t-shirt sales for other people, or just the gate, actually put money in the other wrestlers' pockets. So it's not necessarily a bad thing when someone else is getting glory. You can actually profit from it also.
Well, yeah. If you don't want to put your C-list artists, you know, I guess on the covers, because you know, comics are a visual medium. A lot of comics are purchased when you go to the store. You see that you see the cover that's essentially the you know, the billboard that says come in and view this product. So you want to put your best foot forward, even though most of the time it doesn't really exactly match the interior.
Have you ever talked about the controversy of J. Scott Campbell and his art style on your show?
Yes, we did. We did on a worst of the week with Pele, about how he was getting you know, every year or so, or maybe 18 months, somebody, you know, takes one of his pinup covers and then says that he hates women. And I think the last controversy was that all the women in his art look like his wife, as if somehow that's like a bad thing, that he makes all the women he draws look like his wife. Oh, he loves his wife too much. Terrible bit.
He loves at least one woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know. I think a person that spends that much time and effort on, you know, one style subject probably actually enjoys it. Whether
and just the amount of sales increase and the visibility of those comics that get increased when he's on the cover, like, people should be thankful for that, because without that, Gwen Stacy doesn't sell that many comic books, and not enough people get to go and test it out and see if that's a comic book for them. Amazing Mary Jane, absolutely, the sales are boosted because it had J. Scott covers, multiple J. Scott covers. Black Cat, obviously the sales were boosted big time because she vaulted right up in there to the top 5 sellers, I think, for the first couple issues, and obviously she fell back down to 30,000. But more people got eyes on the product, and the comic had an opportunity to take off because of J. Scott Campbell's involvement.
Sure thing. And, you know, it's not like there's a few other people out there that you would expect, or they do the same thing. Wonder Woman had Adam Hughes, and before that, Brian Boland doing covers. There's a lot of good people out there that do cheesecakey stuff, and I can't think of anybody
Artgerm
to do a cover. Oh, well, Artgerm. Okay, I can think of one other person. But, I mean, even better than Artgerm is J. Scott Campbell. I mean, his style is so ingrained in comic customers for so long now. There's not a better person to kick off a Mary Jane or a Black Cat or a Catwoman special, you know.
Yeah, it felt like Artgerm was basically DC's version of J. Scott Campbell. He did their pinups, and then J. Scott did a lot of the Marvel pinups. But you know, you need those up there. There's an entire collector's market. There are people that will buy every comic book with a J. Scott cover Campbell because that is part of their collection.
Right.
You know, gets more eyes on the product. Obviously, Frank Cho being another one of them. Also got in trouble because his comic characters were too sexy.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, you know, that's exactly the reason why you're getting these people to do these books. And again, do you want it to sell? Do you want people to pay attention? These are the things you do to pay attention. Back in the day, it was, you know, it was Gil Kane covers or Neal Adams or whoever it may be. And cheesecake became a thing a little bit more in the 80s and 90s. Cho and Campbell and now Artgerm are kind of like vestiges of that time. It doesn't happen as much, but when it does, get somebody good.
So let's talk about a little bit more in depth about this Catwoman 80th anniversary. We know that it's coming out somewhat soon, but I guess the last issue with Joelle Jones on it, she was obviously the writer and artist, is going to be issue 24. And the new creative team, which their run is actually going to start in the 80th anniversary, is going to be Ram V from These Savage Shores fame, and artist Fernando Blanco. Not as familiar with him. I am a huge fan of Ram V. His These Savage Shores was an amazing horror epic, East meets West kind of a horror vibe where you had vampires from England going and meeting monsters from India and kind of battling. It was just a beautiful. And when you read that comic book, it's almost like that is who Tom King wishes he could be. He wishes that he could write prose and incorporate things like that into a comic book the way that Ram V does it, basically flawlessly. There was another one I've read, his Brigand's Tale, which is also very good, especially the second one, which was the same artist from These Savage Shores. I believe that one's called Ruin of Thieves, A Brigand's Tale. So he can do like fantasy setting stuff like that. But I am a little bit surprised that they would pick him to be the new Catwoman writer. But I think it's a good, bold choice, and it feels like DC is kind of trying to make some or taking some chances. Obviously, Ram V is on Justice League Dark now. Seems like that would fit more his style. But what do you think about him moving over to Catwoman? Does that get you excited?
All right, so I have not read anything that he's done. Although you telling me about These Savage Shores and what it's about is very exciting. So. Vault didn't do a very good job letting me know. Or just, think of casual people. How are they going to find out about that? And then I see this name, and I don't know if it's a 5 or a V. And DC doesn't even let me know that. There used to be letters pages in comics, and now I have to search out how to say, Ed Brisson's name by his Twitter handle, and stuff like that. We used to have a little bit more of a connection to the creators. In some ways, we have more, but not
because you have social media,
not the pertinent stuff.
Yeah,
the things that we care about, like how to pronounce a name. That's it. And also that they're going on to other books or what they've done. So Justice League Dark, definitely something I might have wanted to read, but with all of the Justice League stuff out there and all the other comic books out there, Dark and Odyssey didn't make it in my pull list. So I don't have even that frame of reference as far as him coming onto a book and then him getting on Catwoman. Joelle Jones personally wasn't even all that exciting for me. She's more exciting as an artist, and you didn't even see her draw every single issue. Never expected that to be the case. But I've read some of those and they were okay. And then a new person coming on. I hope it's good. I'm glad that not only with, you assume that the story in the 80th issue will be like a 5 or 10 pager or something like that, which will lead into 25. Wow. I'm assuming 25 will be an expensive issue. Hopefully something a little bit meatier. Blanco being an artist, he's one of those guys that has done things, but he seems like, kind of that fill-in guy after Lepresti or something like that. So
yeah, they definitely did put the premier artist on the book.
Yeah, but then again, you might not need to. And if you're going to pay somebody, you might as well have J. Scott Campbell to do the cover. Mm-hmm. Or maybe Joelle Jones will keep doing it, that way to get some people to read it. Catwoman, I don't know. She's a funky character, what with her love affair with Bruce and not actually culminating in a marriage. And then there's going to be the Tom King Batman Catwoman story that's going to be going on.
Oh yeah, the Catwoman series will be kind of like an afterthought to that one because all the pertinent stuff will be happening in the miniseries.
But this is a chance for Ram V to actually make a fan of me or maybe somebody else. I've heard now about the Savage Shores, and obviously Justice League Dark is too tough to get into for me right now. But this is it. I could go 25th issue right after the 80th anniversary. And if you're looking for something new, this might be the thing, especially if you don't have a whole lot of hope for that Batman Catwoman series. But
I have no hope for it, but I will be reviewing it here on the channel because Tom King is big business for me here on Think Critical. But I think you should give Ram V a chance because I'm telling you, These Savage Shores is one of the best written and illustrated comic books that you'll find in modern comics. Vault really has a lot of great stuff, but I do agree with you. They don't really get the word out quite enough. I think that's going to basically wrap us up here for today. Yule, is there anything that you needed to say about Ram V coming on to Catwoman, J. Scott Campbell variant covers?
I think we covered that pretty good. I hope This is what I hope. I hope that Catwoman does well, and it's a 25th issue, so Centennial ones already sell pretty well anyway. So pick that one up and read it. I'll definitely tell you in the chat, in the very least, what I thought of it.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's going to be good. Hopefully, he hits this one. I haven't really read a bad comic book by him yet. So
cool.
So I want to say, I do want to say thank you to everybody that was on Twitch that joined us today. We had a very good conversation. I definitely went off the beaten path, and we tend to do that when we talk about comics and pro wrestling and stuff like that. But thank you all for joining us. We're going to end the broadcast here, and we'll see y'all later. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.